Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to Lena's Adventure Small Talk. I am so excited to be back here today on this lovely Tuesday. I want to thank everyone who has been joining the shows. I thank you for your comments. I thank you for your likes and your shares. We have a special guest today. We have a great show. First, we're going to talk about these books, you guys. I want to talk about Lena's Adoption Day. This is where it all began. I'm sorry. This is where it all began. And in the new book, which is Gino the Giraffe, that is out. So please, if you haven't got these two books, please purchase your books. Thank you. This show is going to be a great show, and I'm just so excited. I have my good friend here from Youngstown, all the way from Ohio, Youngstown, Ohio, my hometown, Leela Boyd Davis. Hey, welcome, Minister. Welcome.
Hello,
Can
hello.
you
Thank you.
introduce yourself and tell us who you are?
Hi, I am Leela Boyd Davis. God has blessed me to be one of his servants. So I'm Minister Davis when I'm in the church and everything. I am a mother of six, three grown children. Well, one is deceased, and three small children. I have five grandchildren. No, six.
Guys, I want to
20, 26, 27, 26, 23 is my grandchildren. And then 13, 10, and 5.
Amen. Blessings. That is awesome. So today we are going to be talking about interracial adoption. And I'm so happy you on this show because you know firsthand all about this. So can you start off by telling us how you got into foster care and an adoption, and then tell us about the children that you adopted.
Well, I got into foster care because my grandmother, my namesake, Leela Johnson, she was a foster mom for 50, 60 years. We grew up with some of her foster children, which we called them our aunts and uncles. And then I had an aunt that was a foster mom. And it was something that I always desired as a little child coming up because I thought it was so unique to be like in somebody else's family, somebody else, helping you out, helping you take care of your children and stuff. So I decided to do it after I convinced my husband because I wanted to do it when our children were young coming up, and he was like, no. So once our children were grown and out of the home, then we decided to go ahead and I went to school and became a foster mom.
Amen. So what caught my eye with you is like I said, I'm from Youngstown, Ohio, but as I was down here, I noticed that, and when I would come home and go to church, I noticed that um you would have Caucasian children,
Hmm.
and you had a lot of them. And so one of the things I want to say is, what made you adopt outside your race?
Well, before we adopt, we had a lot of Caucasian children in our home, and when we first went to class and everything for it, a young lady named Allison, she was our teacher at the time. She asked me, "Well, what makes you want to adopt white children?" I said, "Well, why not? The white children are no better than the black children, so why can't I have the white children? There's white people adopting black children all the time, so what's wrong with me fostering white children?" So that's what really made me get into it. What made me adopt the children that I have now, my youngest, Freddie, he was 2 years old at the time, and he could not speak. He really wasn't doing anything. And God tugged on my heart, and I was like, "No, Lord, no, my children are grown, they're out the way. I don't want to do it." But of course, God won, and we adopted them. It's been 6, almost 7 years that we
Wow.
have adopted them, and it's great. They're I didn't when me and my husband when I went to my husband and told him I wanted to adopt them. I wasn't looking at their skin. I was looking at three children that needed love. They needed parents in their life because they hadn't seen their parents really maybe a couple times since they had gotten to the system because he was 3 weeks old. So they don't know nothing about their Caucasian mother or father. All they know is about me and my husband. That's how
Wow.
much they didn't see their parents. So, but the Lord, put it on my heart for us to adopt him, and he made it happen because usually they say you have to wait 6 months to a year, and we decided, and I think it was like October, and they were ours before Christmas, so
Praise
it was
God.
great. Mhm.
So what's the difference? So having white children versus black children, do you teach them both cultures, or how does that work in the how does that dynamics work in the household?
Well, it's really no culture at all. We talk about the black culture and the white culture. Um, I take them to jazz in the park, different things that black people do, and I do different things that I know white families do. Yeah, like I never was a outdoors person where you going to see alligators and all that stuff. My Especially my youngest son, he loved animals. My children, they were really into it. The little thing downtown, I went a couple times. I forget the name of it, but he loves going down. All three of them, they love going down there. They love adventurous things with their hands and everything. So it's a lot of stuff that I wasn't into. That having them and seeing that their interest, they pique their interest, I started getting into different things and stuff. And it's something that they really enjoy. As far as culture, they wasn't the way that I cooked, they wasn't used to it. So it had to take a while for them to get used to it. And my daughter, she let me know. She was like, "We don't eat this." The first time she ever had homemade macaroni and cheese, she was like, "This is not mac and cheese.
Wow.
We know about mac and cheese." And I showed her the box. She was like, "Yes, yes, that's what we eat. That's what." I said, "Mommy don't cook that. We do from scratch." So now they're used to it. So it's like if you give them some box macaroni and cheese, they were like, "No, we don't eat that no more." So
So it was a lot of changing and getting them used to what you do, you know.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So do a lot of people ask questions when they see you all out, and or their kids at school? How does that work?
Well, you know what? She's never came home. Well, no, one time she came home and she told me, she said, "Mommy, they was like, your mother black." She was like, "Yeah, but you not." She was like, "Yes, I am. I'm just real light." So, I thought that was really funny. But I've never really gotten too many questions. It's been the older people. Older people, um, we had a thing like in the summertime they love going to Arby's. So I take them to Arby's up in Struthers because you
Mhm.
see more white people hanging out there. So I take them up there. And there's always older people that'll come up to me and say thank you. And I asked him, I'm like, "Why are you saying thank you?" He said, "Because it's not too many of us that will keep our own white children and then raise them to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am." He said, "My children are grown and never once have they ever said yes, sir, to me." He said, I must really applaud you for making your children respect other people." I said, "Well, that's the way I was brought up."
Right.
So I use a lot of the values that my mother and my grandmother raised me up on. I raised my first three like that, and I'm going to raise these three like that.
Right. Because our culture, we're raised to respect adults, and you don't
Right.
say yes or no. You say yes, ma'am, yes, sir, or no, ma'am, no. And that's just how we raise. The cultures are different. Yeah, definitely in that aspect they are.
Yes, they
Yes.
are. So the
So
kids, they'll ask them, "Why do you say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am?" That's the way my mom said. You have to respect each other.
right.
So, You know,
So it's really a great thing that you're doing. Like
thank you.
I was reading somewhere, and I was sharing with you that there's not a lot of there's more black children in foster care than there is white. And you had shared with me that's a misconception because you've been in
Yes.
this thing, and they want us to believe that it's a lot of us, but it's a lot of them too, right?
Yes, it is a lot of them. But see, they'll put us out on the forefront and their different, advertisements and stuff. You always see black children. You very seldom see white children. But me and my husband, we had more white children than we did black children.
Wow.
So, I mean, yes, there are some black children, but I feel that is it's equal because every county that practically called me, the only county I didn't deal with was Trumbull and Mahoney. I had white children. I might have had 8 or 9 black children, and one was a big family of 7. But
Wow.
the majority of the children that we had were white children, Caucasian children. So I don't believe it's more black children out there. It might be harder to get black people to adopt black children,
Yes, it is.
but I don't believe it's more black children out there than it is white. And there was a lot of classes that we had to go to, and I went to some classes that, you know, we met some of them, and there was more white children than there were black children. So
Wow. And we don't see now in society what we see is we see like for instance the stars and all the people we see them going over to Africa getting black children or a lot of Caucasians adopting black children, but we don't see a lot of black people adopting Caucasian children. So that
right.
I don't see a lot of that. I mean, since I know you have done it, do you see a lot of that, or are you kind of not?
No, I before I done it, I didn't see it, and since we have done it, I still haven't seen another black family with some white children.
Wow.
I haven't. Now, fostering, yes, but as far as adopting, no. And you're not going to see too many black people fostering white children, which I think is really sad because to me, they're just children that need love. I'm not, not looking at no color, but no, because it was really it was really funny, but then again, it wasn't. The first time my husband had ever took my daughter out to get her hair cut, they called the cops on him.
What?
Yeah, they called the cops on him. Um, Bad. Ended up coming home, and the cops knocked at my door. And I asked, "Excuse me, can I help you?" And he was like, "Yes, we got a phone call saying a black man was trying to change the little white girl's features and everything." And I was
Wow.
like, "What black man?" I assume it's your boyfriend or your husband. I'm like, "Yes, I do have a husband, and he wasn't trying to change nobody's features." So I called my daughter at the door because they said she was dirty and nasty. And anybody tell the truth, they ain't never seen my kids dirty and nasty because I have a stickler about that. But he called my daughter at the door. She was old enough to understand, and he asked her, "Was did the black man do anything to you?" And she was like, "What black man? Was you at the beauty salon with a black man?" She was like, "Yeah, my dad." And when she said my dad, it like kind of took him back. Your dad, yes. Was you dirty and nasty? No. Was your dad trying to change you? No. Why would my dad try to change
Wow.
me? He just took me to get my hair cut. So, he apologized and he left.
Wow. So that's how rare it is. I
Yeah.
mean,
I've never, being a black woman, having white children with me, nobody has ever approached me. They've
well,
only
you
done
know
it
why? They
twice.
probably thought you was the nanny.
Yeah, probably so. But it's really funny when they, especially around a lot of white people, when they run up and say "mom," they will look. And one lady said, "Did he call you mom? Did you hear him say mom?" Are
Wow.
you really his mother? I said, you heard him say it. I don't force nobody to call me something they don't want to call me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's so different what you go through, and I'm just amazed. Like you said, there's not a lot of black um, people adopting white children, but there's so many white people adopting black children, and they don't get treated like that. Like if you see, it looks
I
almost
don't
like.
know. They might. They just don't tell it.
Well, I don't think nobody will go to a white person's house and say, "Hey, little black boy, are you being, you know?"
Well, yeah, yeah, you're right
You
about
see what
that
I'm saying? Because
because
it's so known to happen. They're
right,
so prone to adopt black children. But you're right.
right.
I don't see a lot of um, black people adopting. I mean, white children. I don't.
Well, even at our church, because our church is a very fostering church, you would see Elder Palmer and her husband and Elder Lasher. They had white children, so you was used to seeing it in our church, but you very seldom would see it anywhere else.
That was the first time I seen it when I came home. Um, and I went to because my mom goes to your church, and when I
Right.
went to your church, I seen all the little white children. I was like, wow! And when I found out they were yours, I was like, wow! You
Yeah,
don't see that
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Did
I would
you
have
did
the
you
majority of the
um
children. Yeah.
did you prefer them over the black children, or like you said, they only offered you white children?
Well, it's not like I prefer them over the white children. The majority of the children that were white came from Columbiana County, and they liked the way that I treated my first set, which is my children. They told me, "We see you don't make a difference in the children. You treat the white children just like you treat the black children." I was like, "Well, that should be with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
A child is a child. It doesn't make a difference what color they are." But they let me know you don't have too many black families that taking white children. So I was like, well, as long as y'all give them to me, I'll take them because they need love.
Wow.
'Cause they need
Now, is the process harder? I'm just wondering, is it harder than it is with to adopt black children, or it's the
love.
same?
I really don't know because, like I said, when we went to put in the papers to adopt Carmen Thomas and Freddie, it didn't. I've known some people that adopted black children, and they're still in the process of going through the adoption, and they started before us, and they're still not adopted. Where with us, it wasn't even 6 months, and we had our children. So
Well, sometimes it seems like what you mentioned earlier. There's not a lot of black families that want to adopt. Period. And
right,
that's the crisis that we're seeing. Um, Me being in being a nonprofit organization for foster care and doing different things and going to these different agencies, it's just not like we have kinship. People, what happens with black families if their cousin or somebody in their family can't raise the child, they'll just take them. Yeah, I'll
hmm
take them and raise them, but they don't go through the system. So it
right.
seems like there's not a lot of black people raising children, but there's a lot of black families raising their own family.
Right, right, right. Where I have family members that are raising nieces and nephews, and some that are raising cousins. Some of them went through the system, some of them didn't. But you get a lot of flack too because they tell you to treat the children like they're your own children. But when it's time for you to discipline them, they have a problem with it. And I don't mean as far as whooping them or anything else. They want to go with this timeout. I never believed in no timeout, and I'm not gonna believe in no timeout. We're gonna sit down, we're gonna talk, we're gonna have this conversation. I'm gonna tell you how it's gonna be. It's gonna be like this because you're not grown and you're not running my household.
Right.
So the system is really messed up for blacks and whites. The system is really messed up. They say they think about the children, but they don't.
I heard it's messy.
It's really, yeah, it
That,
is.
that
It
that's
really
what
is.
I'm hearing, being out in the field now, trying to, talking to different agencies and, talking to some of the caseworkers. It's messy.
It
That's one of
is.
the
It
words
is.
they use.
It is.
And that's
It,
sad
it really
because
is.
guess who suffers?
The children.
The
The
children.
children. Yes. They take you through a lot of red tape, which is
Mhm.
fine. But if I'm willing, what's the problem? And it's not like they're paying you. They're not paying. They're not paying you for the headaches that you have to go through
Right.
with the children. They might give you a little bit stimulus money or whatever, but it ain't it ain't like you making 15, 16, $17 an hour with these kids. Cause no,
Wow.
no,
And that's another reason there's so many children too, because the first thing I hear people say is, I can't afford to take on a child. But there are resources out there. But like you just said, it's so hard to get the proper resources. They put you through so much to get the resources.
right? They do, they do.
So
You
it's
know,
almost like you have these children, you have the people that want them, but then you're giving the people that want them a hard time.
right, right. Because it's like okay, prime example with my son Freddie. There's things that he needs, and it's like when you try to get him, well, he's your son. Okay, yes, he is your son. He is my son. I mean, well, we can't help you. He's not my biological son that I had birth, so it should be where if I need help, I should be able to get it, whether he was my biological son or not.
Right,
What's the problem? It's not like you taking the money out of your pocket to help me. I pay taxes just like you do. I
right,
should be able to get the help that I need. And that's with any child. You shouldn't have to go through a whole bunch of unnecessary mess to help this child, especially when you're trying to make it better for their living for when they get older and they have to go out on their own.
right,
He's autistic. I don't treat him like he's autistic. He's no better or no different than my other children. He just has a harder time learning and has uh, different behaviors. But I don't treat. Oh well, you know how some people. Oh no, no, no. Tommy's he's our special child, or you can't do this to Tommy. No, Freddie get in trouble just like everybody else do.
right,
Freddie has to do chores just like everybody else do. Freddie has to clean his room just like everybody else do. There's no difference. They say that you have a hard time learning, which you do. But we gonna do something totally different. It ain't gonna be like you getting rewarded. No,
right.
no.
But that's going to help them in the long run, because when you start labeling and calling children special, and that's
Right,
what they'll grow up and think, well, I have a disability, or there's so many people out here that has a disability. They're writing books, they're doing different things because they
right,
weren't taught that they had a disability. And so you're doing it right. You're teaching him that he's just the same as everybody else, but he just learns different.
right. I had some other children in my home. They were a little older, and they would say, oh, "Well, I got a disability, so you can't make me do the housework." Nah, not up in here. Maybe it happened at your last foster home, but no disability. You gonna learn how to work because I might die off one day. Then where you gonna be? Oh, I'll just go to another foster home and they'll treat me, maybe better or worse.
Wow.
But you'll know how to survive. You'll
Right.
know how to cook for yourself, clean. So,
Right.
but they don't. Some of them don't look at it that way.
Now, someone asked a question. They want to know, did they go through a private agency? Did you go through a private agency or a local?
I went through a private agency.
Okay.
I feel a private agency, you have the choice of what counties you want to work with. When you go through local agency, you don't have a choice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So going back to the children, how did they feel coming into or they were young, so That's not a good question. They
Well, no, because there was two that was able to talk. My daughter Carmen
okay.
and Thomas. They were able to talk. So when they didn't want to do that, they was like, "No, we ain't got to do that." And I had to let them know. Oh, yes, you do. Prime example. Carmen really didn't know how to tie her shoes when she came to us, and she was 4, almost 5 years old. And she was like, I don't want to learn. You have to learn because I'm not wearing your shoes. And I'm not going to bend down every day and tie your shoes for you.
Right.
You're going to have to learn to tie your shoes. Thomas will always tell us, well, I don't want to eat that. I don't know what that is.
Wow.
You're gonna learn how to eat it. It's food. I'm not gonna give you no poison. If I can eat it, you can eat it.
Wow. So it was really hard for them too. So
Yeah.
that's why some people would question, is it really good to do this? Like, I know society always have their own ideas about, is it really good to adopt outside your race? You know.
Well, for some people, it's good. For me and my husband, it was good. For some people, it might not be good because some people might not, you know, know how to treat a white child compared to the way they treat a black child. That's just like we sit down and we talk to them about, the racism that's going on and everything else. Um, you're no better than no black child. So you have cousins that's black, and I guess with my family, we have all type of race in my family. I have Puerto Ricans in my family. I have white in my family. I have uh, Chinese in my family. So we have a whole bunch of. We're the melting pot
No.
in our family, and it extends back from my grandmothers and them on both sides. I have more on my dad's side than I do my mom's side. We have interracial marriages in both sides of my family. So it's something that we were used to. We grew up with it.
Right.
And my grandmothers didn't treat her black grandchildren no different than she treated her white grandchildren. So it was something that we were used to. And she will always tell us, we ain't no better than nobody else.
Right.
So
We all bleed the same color
the
blood.
same way. Yes,
We
yes.
all were created by the same creator, and I
Right.
agree. So I mean, what you're doing is really really amazing, and I know people give you flack about it. Like I know some people that have adopted white people that adopted black children, and they're like, having problems with their hair. What do you use for their hair? What do you use? You know, but for I know Caucasian children, it's easier because they have the same texture hair, but for it's difficult for black people to adopt. I'm sorry, white people to adopt black children, and they always make it known, like, what do you do with their hair? How do you do this? But for you, like you said, you've been around it, so you know what to do. You know
Right.
that they can't go in the sun without you putting something on them. Like we can,
Right. But
you
you know what? I really had to teach my children because they really feel that they're black, truthfully.
know.
They really do. And I had to tell them, no, you can't go outside without putting you some lotion that whatever is
Unblock.
called. Yeah, thank you. See, so they really do. They use it, but then again, they don't use it. And my daughter, she asked me, she said, "Why you don't put nothing on?" And I had to let her know I have more melanin in my skin, baby, than you do. Your skin will burn quicker than mine will. And she didn't believe me. And she went out and she was like, Mommy, why is my skin peeling? And I was like, because the sun is burning your skin. You have to put on the sunblock like I told you. And
Wow.
sometimes she still don't. And she was like, oh, Mommy, I'm burning again, But I told her, you have to learn. Just like I had to learn to get used to you and the things that you want to do and everything else, you have to learn to be able to put the sunblock and everything else on. Now I don't have no problem because she's much older. She's almost 13 now. So
Okay, now give us the ages. So you have three siblings?
I have three children that are siblings. Carmen, she will be 13 in July. Thomas will be 11 in June. And Freddie will be 10 in June, although he looks like he's about 4 or 5 years old because he's
Yeah,
very
he's small.
small.
I've seen him. Yeah, he's very. So they all been there with you over 5 years.
Yes, yes,
Wow, isn't that
yes,
amazing? That is
yes,
amazing.
yes. I've had him since Freddie was 2.
Wow. So they don't know anything else. They just know you
No,
as
they just
mom
know
and dad. And
me and Papa.
when I tell you they are so well behaved, I came to your church one time when I came home to Ohio, and just how they sit in the row and they're. I mean, from what I seen, they were very, very well behaved.
Yes, because I let them know, we in church, ain't nothing about no talking. But
Yeah,
the other kids is doing it. I'm not the other kids' parents. I'm your parents. Did you see me running my mouth off in church? I said, if no one's asking me a question, do you see mommy talking? No, ma'am. So you have to do the same thing. And my daughter told me, she said, "Do I gotta shout?" And I'm like, "No, you ain't gotta shout, but you do have to pay attention." I'm like, just like I need God in my life, you need God in your life. I'm like, you're
Amen.
young now, but as you get older, you're gonna need God in your life.
Yes.
There's no way around it.
Amen. That is so awesome. Well, you are doing such a great job. I mean, I've seen you. I've been wanting to get you on here, and I mean, just to see the love that you have for those children and so many other children, because I know you had so many others. And I didn't understand how you could do it. You had you had what is the most you had in one time?
The most we've had at one time was 10. 10 children, yes. But it was so much fun.
Really?
It was so much fun, yes. And we really, when we started off with the 7, we had 7. They were Jacksons. We had the 4 boys first, and then their sisters came
Mm.
some months after them, and then we had our 3. So it was like, it was crazy. It was really crazy, but it was fun. And one of the young ladies talking about, well, what is these white kids doing here? Same reason why you're here. I said, we don't do the white thing. We don't do the white thing. We don't do the black thing. All of us, we're family. You ain't my family. As long as you're living in my household, you're my family. And we enjoyed it. We really enjoyed it.
Wow.
We had fun, especially when Christmas came. Snow, you know, I was like a big kid. We'd go out and play in the snow and everything else. It was a lot of fun.
Wow, that is amazing. So that is, I mean, this is just great having you here to share this with us because like you said, well, we need more of this. We need more because at the end of the day, it's not about color.
Right,
I mean, we're no like you said, there's no black or white. It's all about love.
right.
And and that's why the Bible tells us to love one another. It doesn't matter. That's why I get so mad about racism. Like it doesn't how can you hate somebody that exactly the same as
That
you,
you don't know.
that you don't know,
You
that's
don't
the
know.
same, but you're just a different color?
But see, and that's the thing. We as adults, we have to me, as far as I'm concerned, we as adults, we have to think like the children. The
Yes.
children don't see no color until an adult say something to him or her
Right.
about that other person's color.
Yeah.
Because that's just like I had my great nephew over for the weekend, and it was like he was just another kid in my household, and I told the kids I was going to post them on Facebook because they had been wanting their cousin over for a while. And when he came over, he was like, "Oh, Aunt Leela, I'm staying here for life. I want to be around my cousins all the time."
Wow.
He don't see no color. They don't
Nope.
see no
They
color.
don't see.
And us as older people, adults, black and white, You ain't no better than I am. I ain't no better than you. You need to stop seeing the color. That
Yeah.
master mess and all that stuff, they need to go on with that because it's not going to work.
Right.
It's not going to work. Because
And
see,
it's
in
hot.
God's
It's
eyes,
hot.
you're no better. You're no better than I am. Because
Right.
all of us, if you shoot me or stab me, or I shoot you or stab you, ain't nothing coming out of us but red.
Yes. And racism is taught. It's not, you're not born like that.
Right. It is
It's
taught.
taught.
It's
And
taught.
that's the sad part. And to be dealing with it still today is
Right.
really sad
It's really sad.
because there's new generations. And so it's
Right.
just, it's like it's this the generation is just being taught.
Right.
Because when you're a baby, you see little videos of little babies hugging
Yeah.
on each other. They love it's
Yes.
about,
Yeah.
they don't know.
Right. Until somebody ignorant, because that's what it is, they're ignorant, using unnecessary words, tell that child, oh no, well, you can't play with little Peter over there because little Peter has the red hair and freckles. Oh no, you can't play with little Sam because his mom is black and all that. No, folk, we need to wake up and stop. We
Yeah,
need
we
to wake
do.
up and stop.
Well, I'm just so delighted that you came to share with us. It's been a great conversation, and it was needed. And your children are lucky. I mean, not lucky. We're not going to use luck. Your children are blessed. That's what I meant
Yes,
to
they
say.
are.
Your
Yes. Yeah.
children are blessed to have you and your husband loving them and not caring what color they are, and showing them the love of Christ, raising
Right.
them in the church and showing them, that they, like you said, to telling them that they need the Lord,
Right.
and they will need the Lord, and not seeing different colors in your family. You have a lot of people in your family that are different colors and shades and races, you know.
Right.
So they're blessed because they're gonna know firsthand about love,
Yes. Yes.
and yes, and so that's what makes them blessed. But
I feel we're blessed also because we get to be around another race and show them how to be the young lady and young men that you're growing up to be. It's not about you don't look at no color. You love somebody for who they are, not for what they can do for you or the color of their skin. You love them for who they are.
amen, and that's right. And you're not training them to be okay. I'm just going to show you everything black. You're showing them their culture, our culture, and that's what makes it great.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what makes it great. We're all in this world at a melting pot. I
Right.
love learning. Don't we eat Chinese food? Don't we eat, Mexican
Right.
food? So learning different cultures and just embracing what we all bring to the table in this world
Right.
is a blessing if we all get our mind right.
Right. Right.
If we all get our mind right,
We
it could be a
definitely get it right before it's too late.
yes, it could be a wonderful world if we could do.
Mhm.
So I am so thankful for you being on here. Let me see if I have a couple of questions before we end. Um,
I really thank you for inviting me. I've
oh, you're
enjoyed myself.
welcome. Someone says love, not blood. That's so beautiful. Um, and someone says your children are so blessed to have you and your husband. Color, no color blind. Amen.
Right.
So I just think this is a great topic. It should be continued to be talked about because we don't see much of it. And to see you doing it is just wonderful. But you always done wonderful things, and I know that about you. um,
Thank you.
so I mean, just keep doing great things and keep doing what the Lord is telling you to do.
Right. It's all for the glory of God.
Yeah.
If he hadn't touched my heart for me to do it, I wouldn't have been doing it. So it's all for the glory of God. He's, they're going to see my children grow up, but they're going to see the God that's in my children, that He has blessed me to show them how to worship Him and praise Him.
Amen. And that's the most important thing, you people. The most important thing is just to have God in your life, and God to show you how to do these different things. I never in a million years thought at my age that I'd be writing children's books or that I would be advocating for foster care or, just God just put that in me to
Mhm.
do. I know I was adopted, so I didn't think nothing of it because I looked at my mom as my mom,
Right,
but
right.
to share with other children, to let them know it doesn't matter where you come from, is where you're going,
Going, right,
in
right.
which you can be. It doesn't have to, you don't have to have a sad story. You don't have to, so much you can give back to and do, and you're giving back,
Yeah,
you know.
it's a choice. You can hang on to what you've been through, or you can throw it in the sea of forgetfulness and take what you're learning and apply that to your life. It's a
Amen.
choice. It's a choice. Just like God gives us a choice to serve Him or serve the devil. You have a choice.
You
Each
have a
day that
choice.
He breathes His breath into your body, you have a choice.
You have a choice. So, on that note, thank you everybody for joining us. And please, if you didn't catch the show, go back, share. And if you have catch the show and it's a great topic, like and share it to people. Everybody needs to see these shows. And so far, I'm loving how people are sharing and going back to watch. Now, next week, in honor of, and this is International Women's Day, and you're on here today. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So next week, in the honor of that, we will have author Patricia Brown Coleman on. She's going to be sharing about her her businesses and what she do for the community. So I'm looking forward to that, you guys. So please stay tuned and watch the shows. Continue to watch. Have a blessed day. We love you. Lena's Adventures here. So thank you, Leela. Well, Minister Leela Boyd, thank you for being
And
on.
don't forget to go out and get her books. I got all of them that's come out so far, and they're very interesting for the children. Very interesting.
Thank you. And we have one coming out, Lena and the Great Spelling Bee. So be looking for that one. That'll be out this year.
Okay.
So thank you. And you guys have a blessed day. Thank you all.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.